man. I just downshifted and there's no power here going uphill.
To be young again and carefree with no responsibilities, with your whole future in front of you. The possibilities are endless, and when you're young, mobility equals freedom. The freedom to go anywhere, hang out with your friends, and to experience new places. A motorcycle is probably the penultimate symbol of that same exact freedom, but unfortunately for today's youthful generation, their luck is stacked against them. Motorcycle costs, much like everything else, has skyrocketed, making ownership of a motorcycle much of an afterthought. Who can afford a Harley that starts out at $13,000? And even the entry-level Honda Rebel 300 comes in at about $5,000. And that's where Royal Enfield comes in. And quite frankly, that's where they've always been. Just look at countries like India and you'll see that Royal Enfield motorcycles have exploded in those areas because they fill a void where other motorcycle brands seem to be heading in the opposite direction. Royal Enfield has undoubtedly enjoyed this niche category mostly to themselves, mass-producing economical but yet stylish and approachable motorcycles for people who just want a cheap motorcycle to tote them around from point A to point B. And they're doubling down in 2023. Royal Enfield released the Hunter 350 this year with 6 playful color configurations designed to appeal to the younger generation. And although it's a bare-bones motorcycle by today's standards, it comes in at a staggering price of $39.99. Okay, so maybe Royal Enfields are popular in other countries, but how will it work out in countries like the US? Is it too underpowered for anything other than congested cities? Let's find out.
What's up, YouTube? Thanks for joining the channel today. Today I'm on a Hunter 350 from Royal Enfield out here in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm super excited about this bike. This is, I think, brand new for Royal Enfield in 2023. This is quite a small little package. So it comes with a single overhead cam, 349cc engine, very short wheelbase, just the essentials that you need. Not a whole lot in terms of tech. You do have this digital analog gauge here with a lot of all the information that you need. Has a fuel gauge, which is kind of nice. Coming in at, I believe about $39.99. It's not meant to be a premium motorcycle, right? It is an entry-level motorcycle, very small package, designed for, you know, short sprints around town. So just kind of here to give you my first impressions. It doesn't have a whole lot of power. It's, I think, 20 horsepower, maybe a little over 20. And in terms of torque, it's, you know, it doesn't really matter because it's not going to make a whole lot of difference. I think design-wise, I think Royal Enfield does a really good job with all of these bikes. All right, and we are off. And yeah. Okay. Has a little bit of a punch. I'm bringing the neck on this throttle and it's not giving me a whole lot, which is expected from a 350cc motorcycle. I do like the center gauge. Very readable, very clear. It's got a really nice premium design, even though this bike is not really a premium motorcycle by any means. I think what's different about this bike versus like the Meteor and the Classic is just the frame has been somewhat remodified to suit more of like a city-based riding. So very quick, it's very nimble, very agile. I can kind of feel that already.
With its shorter wheelbase, lighter weight, and tighter geometry, the Hunter's frame is fitted with a super maneuverable set of wheels, a hip retro-metro aesthetic, and a 350cc J engine that packs extra muscle for every hustle. The Hunter's rider-first ergonomics, revised rake angle, and low center of gravity have been designed to let you effortlessly maneuver the streets of the world's coolest neighborhoods. An intuitive throttle response guarantees unprecedented agility with every flick of the wrist. But in the real world, can the Hunter 350 handle itself in terms of power? Is there enough power to be able to keep up with the speed of traffic in the US?
All right, I'm in 4th gear and it's kind of gutless, you know? The throttle doesn't really do a whole lot. It's just there so that you can kind of cruise at a more leisurely pace. The brakes feel kind of spongy. I mean, it's there, it'll do the job, but it's not fantastic. But the exhaust note sounds pretty good. So let's talk about the ergonomics a little bit. This is a small bike. I'm coming in at 5'8", and even I feel somewhat cramped. This bike isn't really meant for long distance, but for short sprints around town, it's perfectly adequate. You got this nice long seat here, banana seat. It does feel pretty firm, really nice. And the handlebars kind of come up, and so it's not terrible, but I do feel a little bit cramped. We're really giving it all she's got. And there's really not much there, but I think this bike would really excel in like a city application where it's stoplight to stoplight. You don't really need to do a whole lot. You're not going to be going above 40. You know, that's really where the Hunter 350 kind of fits the bill. Where it kind of struggles is that 50 and above, 50 miles per hour and above. There's not a whole lot of power beyond that. So just keep that in mind. You know, I don't know if I'd want to take this on the highway.
The Hunter 350 is the only Royal Enfield in production to feature super maneuverable 17-inch front and rear tires and a striking cast alloy wheels. The tubeless tires let you ride uninterrupted for as long as you want, minus the puncture paranoia. Also at the heart of the Hunter beats a fuel-injected long-stroke 350cc J engine that delivers a smoother ride, higher RPM, and a decent amount of torque. Paired with a steady down-tube spine frame and grounded suspension, that the Hunter 350 gives the right amount of power and precision for revving up the city streets. The Hunter 350 is really designed for an adventurous city street riding and not much else. If you can take the Hunter 350 for what it is, I think you'll find an enjoyable and spunky motorcycle that doesn't handcuff you financially for a few years. And with the Hunter 350, what you see is what you get, which maybe isn't that much to begin with, but did I mention it's only $39.99? Of course, today's riders in the US may have matured over the last few decades. Motorcycles are no longer a means from getting from point A to point B. It's a way to escape the everyday pressures and a way to experience a rush of adrenaline through pure speed. And I'm not sure where the Hunter 350 fits in terms of meeting those needs. But for $39.99, maybe that doesn't matter.
So with a bike like this, you really do have to be mindful of what gear that you're in, because that's going to really influence how much power that you have, right? Like with a bigger Harley, with a bigger bike, you know, you can kind of get away with being a little bit lazier on gear selection, but with a smaller bike like this, you really have to be intentional with the bike, with the gear selection. But overall, you know, it's a fun bike. It's a fun little machine. There's not a whole lot beyond this. There's not a lot of tech. So it's a very simple bike as well. Yeah, there's really not a whole lot to kind of pull you through. The bike is so small and so nimble and kind of playful. That's kind of where the fun is on this bike. You can kind of, it's the same sort of premise, the value proposition premise as like a Grom per se, right? It's so small, it's just very enjoyable, very relaxed. You drop it, it's not a big deal. It's pick it right back up. It's not that heavy. It's not a big cruiser. I think another benefit to a Royal Enfield is, you know, the aftermarket. I know that there's an aftermarket that's kind of starting to boom for a Royal Enfield as this bike gains more popularity. So if you're a modder, if you like to tinker on your bike, you know, this could be a really good start. I've seen a lot of different customizations on Royal Enfields because the parts are, you know, widely available and they're so cheap. That's another thing about it. It's not going to cost you a whole arm and a leg to do a custom project. So if that's kind of your bag, you know, Royal Enfields are definitely worth taking a look at. You know, when you think about Hunter 350, it's not going to be a do-it-all motorcycle, but it's really going to be more around town, in the city, bopping around, you know, doing a couple of errands, getting some coffee. That's really the sweet spot for this motorcycle, I think. And if you can keep that in mind, it will be a really fun motorcycle for you. Another thing I thought about is, you know, for somebody who likes to travel with a trailer, if you want to trailer this bike anywhere, that would be awesome too, right? Oh, just a dead turtle on the road. This bike will be super easy to tote around on a trailer, take it somewhere, take it on the tail of the Dragon even. We're almost at the end of our demo ride. I hope you guys enjoyed this demo as much as I did. You know, am I going to say the Hunter 350 is for everybody and that you should go out and buy one? No. But if you're living in the city and you want to consider a first motorcycle, or if you're a new time rider, the Hunter 350 is not a bad start. You know, it looks great. It's got enough power to scoot you around. It's very, very friendly. It's slightly bigger than a Grom, so I mean, it's more capable than a Grom for sure in terms of just the power band and the size. If I had this bike when I was like 19 or 20, 21 years old, I would have been ecstatic. I would have been over the moon. I would have taken this bike anywhere. And so I think that's really kind of what Royal Enfield's doing here, is trying to appeal to the younger market, because you know, there's not a lot of bikes like Royal Enfields on the market. That classic looking motorcycle with at the entry-level package. So kudos to Royal Enfield for kind of realizing an open space. Hope you all enjoyed the demo of the Hunter 350, and I will see you all next time. Peace.